Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. What you are about to listen to was previously recorded here on KOHS all the way back in February 2022. Our very special guests in this interview were none other than the fabulous band Sego. We had them in at the not very rock and roll friendly hour of 8 a.m., but to our luck, they braved the chilly early morning to have a chat just with us. They were even so kind as to bring us donuts. We talked about where Sego came from, where Sego is now, and where Sego is going. So, without further ado, let's meet our friends from Sego.
Hi there, my name's Derv, and I play the bass guitar in Sego.
My name's Kathleen. I play guitar and keys and percussion in Sego.
That was the loudest I've ever heard Kathleen speak in the 6 months we've been jamming. This is Spencer from Sego.
For those of you holding out for the fourth member of Sego, Thomas Carroll, he unfortunately wasn't able to make it this fine morning, so it was just the three here with us in the studio. So, you've met Derv, Kathleen, and Spencer from Sego. Let's learn a little bit more about how they do what they do. What is your creative process like? Is there any one specific thing that Sego does when writing new music?
I guess the simplest way to put it, we usually start kind of with bass guitar and kind of build some strong like rhythmic or riff kind of track and then kind of slowly evolve it out of that. So that's why most of our songs kind of are prominent in the low end. But as much as I wish that there was a process that I could adhere to, that is as close as it gets, because after that it just totally goes off. I like songwriters that like I have to go to a cabin and I have to write and I have to have a Proust and a candle. But unfortunately, it's just whatever works that day, and I feel like that kind of you can kind of hear that as it goes from record to record. It just kind of evolves through different sounds and interests and whatever.
So, recent history has found Kathleen joining the band. As your lineup has changed and expanded, how are you looking to move to the future? Is there anything you want to explore, try out, introduce? Tell us what the next chapter looks like for Sego.
I don't know. I think by us kind of finding the people, it's helped solidify more ideas, because it's not so like, what's it gonna be like in a little bit, but like I don't know.
It's amazing how much just one person makes a difference in a band, like a crew of friends or whatever it is. Like it changes the dynamic, and so just the fact Kathleen's been playing with us this year, and it's already like had this kind of pretty audible effect on what's going on. So I think just that settling into kind of our new dynamic as a four-piece is dictating the future in a lot of ways. It's pretty cool. But we're working on it. We just finished a new record, but don't tell anybody.
One of my personal favorite Sego songs is Stars off of their first record, Once Was Lost, Now Just Hanging Around. For context for the next section, I'm going to play the chorus of the song for you right now.
I swear I never tried so hard. Now I find myself living among the stars, the lights. Swear I never thought so hard. Now I find myself leaving to see the stars at night. Leave some stars behind.
Sego, like many of our favorites here on KOHS, got their start in Provo. While they did form in Los Angeles, Spencer and Thomas grew up here in Utah. The Provo music scene has such a profound effect on many musicians, Sego included. Tell us about what struck you while you lived here and how it helped you get to where you are now.
It's funny that you played Stars and you asked that question, because that song is about the back and forth between Los Angeles and Provo. After growing up here in the scene and having that be such like a massive influence, but then going down and kind of like finding our legs in Los Angeles, but kind of missing what we had here and have, I guess. And so there was this constant drive back and forth from LA to Provo, and so that's kind of what inspired that song we just barely played. But to further answer your question, like growing up here is the reason why I'm playing music, and like I was saying up in the class, I grew up listening to this radio station and thinking it was so cool because they just play whatever they wanted to play, and I felt like that wasn't available to me at the time. So yeah, anyway, I felt like that gave me kind of the legs to move onward and upward and kind of explore.
While Spencer and Tom had the privilege of growing up surrounded by the Provo scene, Derv did not. Derv grew up in Santa Barbara, California, where she got her start playing bass in cover bands who primarily played in bars. Regardless, her skill as a bassist grew to an astronomical level, leading her to eventually join Sego. Derv, tell us about your first impressions of the Provo scene as an outsider. What stuck out to you in Provo as opposed to in Santa Barbara?
It was just that there were so many cool bands. I think just the amount, because I wasn't used to that at all, having so few cool bands in Santa Barbara. Coming here, I was like, wow, everyone that I'm meeting, everyone that I was getting introduced to from like the Sego boys when I first started playing, I was like, whoa. And then I'd listen to them. I was like, wait, that was awesome. And then, or we'd play a show with somebody, I was like, what is that? That's like amazing. And it just kept growing of that. I was like, oh my gosh, every person that I've met here is like an incredible musician, and that is not the case in Santa Barbara. And that was just very cool. It was very inspiring, and I just didn't realize it. I just didn't realize that there were so many awesome bands here and awesome artists. I fell in love with a lot of them. Kathleen's band that she was in, Penguin Mofex, that's like one of my favorite bands ever out of here. Fictionists, love Fictionists, like just found all these cool things that I'm like, wait, you guys just grew up on this? That's cool. I did not.
Here on KOHS, we love our local music. Were there any artists that had an impact on you guys or inspired you, made you do what you want to do? You know, who were the people that you looked up to in the scene?
I mean, for me, like back in the day, there was this band that I don't know if it's still echoed in history, but it's Mathematics, etc. was like the gold standard of like cool guys, cool style, cool music, and I would kind of like go to their shows like as a local, but like feel like I was like, these guys are so cool. Like I want to be friends with these guys, but I don't need to talk to them. And so I feel like having that on a local level is so rad. But yeah, like those dudes, like back in like, we actually derived our name partially from a festival that happened way back in Provo called Sego Fest. And basically every band that played that was my favorite band. Cool. Yeah, I remember like Neon Trees played it, but like John White, Chris Merritt, just bands that have gone away, you know, but gone the way the bands go after 5 years.
But they were so cool.
Yeah, they were so good.
I didn't realize it at the time, but like radio and podcasts and stuff had a big impact on me when I was like starting to play music. And I used to listen to all those guys. They had like a podcast. They had Provo Podcast,
yeah.
I used to listen to that all the time.
Because they would have like a new band every week.
Yeah, and
Cool.
They were just pals, and it was like super DIY, but I don't know. It like reached me, you know. It was like impacted me.
I still have Provo Podcast saved on my.
I have a few episodes. Yeah, and that was like the Eden Express and the John Whites and Mathematics, etc.
Yeah.
And the Weekmen, all those cool. Old
and they were just
Provo
all such cool dudes.
I wanted to be their friend.
You know, and it's interesting that you guys have that sentiment of like, I want to be their friend, because I mean, it carries down to me, because it's like, you know, I've seen you at a couple shows, but like both as like an audience member watching you and as like just a fellow audience member, you know, like I was at the
fireplace sessions you guys did, but then it was also, we were just both at the Moth and the Flame show, and I just remember you being like 6 feet away from me off to my right. It's like, this is cool. I'm not going to bug it, because like, he's doing the same thing that I'm doing, you know? So it's,
hopefully I didn't like pick my nose or something.
you know, I just remember you like looked at me like a little weird, and I was like, okay, I'll leave him alone now. But is that a thing out in LA, like where you just like meet artists on the street, or is it kind of confined to Provo?
No, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Or they'll like, it's less like in the street, but like, you know, you'll just be at a party and then there'll be a little bit of a chatter, like there's look over your shoulder.
He's here.
He's
here.
He's standing by your refrigerator.
Don't look. Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. It's kind of like bird watching, you know.
The bald eagles.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, cool. There they come and there they go.
Yeah.
But
try to act cool, just like, yeah, we're all just at this party together, like.
Yeah, no, California's
totally.
funny because no one wants to like fan out, especially if you're in LA, and so no one pays attention to the famous person, and then the famous person gets their feelings hurt
because they're like, wait, why is no one recognizing who I am? We're all trying to play it really cool.
Yeah, we're just trying to be so cool that you make you comfortable.
Yeah, it's like, you know, yeah.
Once again, I'm going to play a snippet of one of Sego's songs for context for this next section. The track in question is Where I Belong, the closing track off of Sego's debut album, Once Was Lost, Now Just Hanging Around, and this is what it sounds like.
Know how it is, like a friend gone to pieces, all friendly faces. We've been gone for ages. I
That's what that sounds like.
That is what that sounds like. It is Derv's favorite.
It's my favorite.
So tell us about that. Like, what draws you to that track specifically?
I think when I first saw it, like, I think some of my friends are confused when I listen to some Sego songs sometimes, because it's like, well, that's your band, that's kind of weird. But I am first and foremost a Sego fan, because before I was even playing the band, I was a fan of the music. I wasn't a part of that song, so I feel like I can listen to it without it being weird.
A little more objective.
Yeah, so, but that one, I don't know, specifically, I like all the fun kind of like heavier stuff. I like a lot of heavy music in general, but I have this place in my heart for those kind of like indie surf sound. Not that that's that, but I like the dream. I like dream pop kind of vibe, and again, not that that's that, but it was really just that melody. The that thing is like so good. That hits somewhere in there. I don't know. It's just that part. Is it? I'm looking right at you because I know you're part of that. But that, and the lyrics and just kind of the breakdown in the middle was very cool. It kind of falls apart. Like, I don't know, that song closes out the album too. And so I always thought that was like a great choice.
That and Once Was Lost kind of anchor that first record lyrically, especially. Just kind of wondering what the heck we're doing.
It's really good. It's a great song.
No, I can attest that. It just kind of all just blends together. It's one of those that you can just like sit back and soak up.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. You know, like other songs you're like actively engaged in. This one, like, you turn it up, you boost the bass a little bit, and you just like close your eyes and just let it wash over you. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's
which isn't necessarily the case for a lot of our songs.
Well, I was just going to say that. Yeah, I was just going to say that because I feel like a lot of Sego stuff invokes a lot of, like, physical feeling almost. Like, you want to, like, get up and thrash and you want to, like, feel stuff physically. But Where I Belong and those kind of mellower ones, you feel things a lot more emotionally. And not that you wouldn't for the heavier stuff, too, but there's something that's nice about that. A little break from, like, the thrash of Sego.
Yeah, well, it was like you were talking about off air, every once in a while you need to pull back. You don't want to be listening to just heavy stuff the whole record. It starts getting a little bit wears on your system.
Yeah. You know, and Yeah, well, it's like that one once was lost in stars. You know,
Yeah.
kind of mellow it out. You know, just a second where it's like, hey, get introspective for a second, and then back to the party. You know,
Right,
like
exactly.
you step into the bathroom for a second, and the music kind of fades. You know.
I had a big learning lesson with my band 2 before Sego, where we wrote this record and we felt very proud. And I was literally driving away from the mastering engineer's house and listening to it in my car, making sure it sounded good. And then it just dawned on me like, oh, this is like so loud all the way through. We didn't like, there's zero dynamic and there was zero like breath in it, and it kind of calcified this idea. It's like I got to make sure that moving forward there's some like highs and lows, and just being pegged on one gear the whole record is offensive almost. It's intense.
Yeah. You know, and that's interesting because it's like you kind of do what like an inverse of like I've kind of been on a Phoebe Bridgers kick lately, and you guys kind of do the inverse of that, where it's like you have mostly highs, but then the couple lows are like those are good. You know, I love both of her albums, you know, but like, you know, on her most recent one you have Punisher, we have like Kyoto and The End Is Near, and I was listening to it with my girlfriend yesterday in the car, and then we realized that those are the only 2 songs that had drums on the entire record.
Huh.
Oh.
You know, and so
And it's funny because Kyoto is pretty like still kind of mellow.
it is mellow, and it's like, but it's like out of the norm for her, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, but like off of her first record, you have like Motion Sickness is like the Kyoto of The Stranger in the Alps in the sense where it's
Right.
like it's not quite there. Like it's still Phoebe Bridgers, but it's like not like Phoebe Bridgers TM. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, and your comment about like being a fan of Sego first is interesting because it's like that's a sentiment that's shared across some other bands that I listen to. You know, like I think about My Chemical Romance and their guitarist Frank Iero, who played in a band called Pensy Prep. You know, and he like they would open for My Chem when they were first getting started, but it was like he was like their number 1 fan, and he eventually got to join. So it's like it's interesting that happens more than once. It's not like an anomaly type thing.
Yeah,
That definitely happened.
John Frusciante was the same way with Chili
Oh,
Peppers.
really?
Oh, yeah,
he was
that's right.
He was a mega fan, and when Hillel died, they like, well, this kid's insane, and
And
he'll
he's
do
stoked.
everything. Yeah.
He was only like 19, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. Now he's
Maybe even 18. Yeah,
Now he's back again.
he's back.
Back again.
Thank goodness.
As we come to the end, we would like to thank Sego for generously spending their time with us and having such a lovely chat. We are so excited to see and hear what they do next. Once again, thank you to Sego, and thank you for listening here on KOHS Orem 91.7 FM.
Give it up.